fourth thing that God wants you, the way that God wants you to respond to Him, is that He wants you to acknowledge His ways. Acknowledge God's ways. Verse 9 of Psalm 20. Acknowledge God's ways. Acknowledging God's ways says that man's ways, or your ways, are not enough. When you acknowledge God's ways, when you say, this is God's way, when you know God's way, what you're saying is that my way isn't enough. It isn't valid. You've heard me say it over and over and over again, God's will done God's way, never lacks for God's provision. Well, you need to know God's way. You need to know God's will, but you also need to know God's way. How does God want to do something in your life or through your life? Know His ways. And when you acknowledge how God does things, then what you begin to acknowledge at the same time is that you don't do things right. God does things right. That it's about acknowledging that God's ways are enough and yours aren't. Also, acknowledging God's ways says that His ways have your best interest at heart. That His ways have your best interest at heart. And that passage that we looked at, trust in the Lord with all your heart, Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6, says that. It says God's ways are enough, and I can trust God's ways because He does have my best interest at heart, and I can believe that.
Only by your blood, and it's only through your mercy.